Andy Burnham is now Prime Minister of the UK. Let's take a look at his record on housing when he was Mayor of Manchester. He at least recognises housing a bit more than the usual lip service we've come to expect from politicians, particularly regarding affordable housing and genuinely affordable council homes. So as Mayor, he oversaw a boom in house building, which is of course a good thing, but I definitely think it's worthy of some attention and some concern. Last year, he announced a £1 billion plan of regeneration projects aiming for economic growth within Manchester's Greater Combined Authority, GMCA, aiming to deliver 3 projects in each of the city's 10 boroughs, unlocking 3,000 new homes and 2 million square foot of workspace. However, in 2024, he planned to build a new generation of council homes, a total of 10,000 across all 10 boroughs in his mayoral term, but in the first year, only 10 were built. More concerning still is the Greater Manchester Housing Investment Loans Fund that was created in 2015 and has delivered an estimated 11,000 new homes. So the fund works by lending money to developers, and then that loan is paid back with interest once the projects are completed. Astonishingly, of the 11,000 homes delivered by the developers under this scheme, just 503 meet the criteria of being classified as affordable homes. That is less than 5%. In this period from 2015 to 2024, around £983 million was invested from the fund into Manchester's property development, but there was one main beneficiary, huge beneficiary of this, that took over half the money, and that's Renica. If you look at this chart, you'd be forgiven for thinking that, well, maybe Manchester city centre has a greater need for housing than the outer neighbouring areas. No, that's not quite it. Homes needed across the Greater Manchester area. The explanation for this can be found helpfully in the footnote for this chart that reads, though the larger developments requiring more substantial funding will tend to be in or near the city centre, it should be noted that the outlier of the awards to Renica heavily skews the distribution. That very finely printed quote explains the stark difference. Unsurprisingly, Renica has come under criticism for its lack of affordable homes, as the developer has failed to deliver not one reduced price property with the funds received from the GMCA. So I found this apartment for sale in Renica's most recent flagship development, the Contour, which is a 51-storey tower where a 2-bed is available for £430,000. What? And of course, while this is going on, Darren Whittaker, Renica's CEO and founder, has been caking it in. Earlier this year, it was revealed that over the course of 2 years, he received £40 million in dividends from just one of the projects backed by the Greater Manchester Housing Investment Loans Fund. He is now worth somewhere in the region of £525 million. And Andy Burnham himself has come under direct criticism for this exact situation. So he's had to contend with renewed allegations that the approval for £140 million in public loans to Renica by his administration bypassed proper financial checks, all very questionable to say the very least. You might have heard of the term Manchesterism, which is an approach that takes more public ownership and control of essential goods and services, such as housing, transportation, energy, water, and to make these services more accessible and available for residents. And there have been some housing success stories in the year 2025 to 2026, with 901 affordable homes built and 439 available for social rent, the most successful year since the mid-1990s for affordable house building, according to Manchester City Council. Yet, this is juxtaposed by rising homelessness. Data from the annual rough sleeping snapshot conducted every year by every local authority in November reveals an increase from 154 in 2024 to 197 last year. I think a lot of this points to the housing portion of Manchesterism being, at least in part, heavily built by private developers for profit, not the needs of the majority of Mancunians, particularly young people and families. I hope you see why I think this needs a bit more attention. So if Burnham is to replicate this on a national stage, it would mean somewhat like existing developments in major cities like London, with a big focus on luxury and profit, pushing out existing residents and being out of reach for many in the region. You can read about this in a lot more detail in my Substack article on the topic. What do you think?